Welcome in, everyone, to SEC State of Mind, presented by FanDuel. I'm Taylor Davis. He is Jason Campbell. We welcome you in for a super jam-packed week of SEC football. Rivalry week is upon us, people, and this year it is laced with postseason implications. Several games that could impact teams seeing themselves in the final top 12 playoff teams or not at the hands of their rival. What could be worse or what could be better? There's a lot to unpack here, people. We welcome you in. It is week 14, the last regular season week of the college football season, crazy as it may seem. It's also Thanksgiving week, so we are so thankful for all of our listeners and watchers of the show. We are also thankful that we were able to have a very esteemed guest join us. Our Auburn fans, don't be mad, but we had AJ McCarron on. Nature is healing, and we're talking both sides of this thing, okay? An all-important Iron Bowl sets up this week. AJ McCarron, obviously, former quarterback at Alabama. He also hosts a podcast with Trent Richardson, actually, called The Dynasty, covering Alabama football. So it was great to get his in-depth take and Jason's coverage of Auburn as well. So we've got a jam-packed Iron Bowl preview episode for you that is separate from this episode. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go check it out. That's where you can find your Iron Bowl preview. We will be breaking down some of the other ones in this episode. Our SEC standouts and Siren are also in the other episodes. So make sure you don't miss it. So since we've done SEC standout and Siren already, Jason Campbell, I figured I'd speak your language a little bit. We're going to do Thanksgiving food standout and Siren. Okay, we're talking our standout favorite food. And I know you, J-Cam. Don't get in this and list off 4 things to me, okay? You got to give me one standout and one Siren Thanksgiving food. We start with the good Thanksgiving food standout. What you got? He's still going to give me 4. Watch him.
Well, the thing is, right? Some people are ham people. Some people are turkey people. Some people are mac and cheese.
What is your standout, Jason?
My standout is a must-have has got to be dressing. You got to have dressing.
Okay.
And I was going to pick with AJ McCarron about this with my boy Andy Dalton, who was all together in Cincinnati. And the first time they tried to have Thanksgiving. And so I go over there and they had, I was looking for the dressing and I found the stuffing.
Different things.
Yeah, when I put on right, and I said, this is the first time that Jake had stuffing.
Wow.
I said, so this is a treat, though. I'm going to try it.
And what'd you think?
But I told him, I said, I'm 1,000%. 1,000%. I'm bored with dressing.
Team dressing. Okay.
And that's my voice of the Tigers. Andy Burcham says he can eat cranberry sauce multiple times of the year. I tell him it's only 2 times of the year you can eat cranberry sauce. And that is Thanksgiving and that is Christmas. But my standout, that's right. You did. My standout is dressing.
All right, I like it. I almost said SEC standout. My Thanksgiving food standout is the deep fried turkey that my dad just crushes every single year. Todd Davis just knows how to do that turkey, deep fried in the big old tin bucket thing out in the yard. I mean, he just crushes it every single year. And oh my gosh, I'm salivating thinking about it. Huh?
Does he brine it first? Like, does he?
What does that mean?
When you put it in a bag overnight, when you put the flavors in the juice, you let it sit and then you fry it.
He injects it with all the stuff and let it sit overnight. Oh, it is what dreams are made of. All right. Thanksgiving food Siren. What do we not need on Thanksgiving, J-Cam?
I know I'm getting in trouble for this. I'm getting in real trouble for this. Make sure I'm listening.
Oh boy, does Shayla make something?
But don't bring barbecue ribs to Thanksgiving.
Do y'all do that?
My father-in-law loves barbecue ribs.
No way.
Bring ribs any time of the year to anything. And I get it. I get it.
Interesting. I love ribs, but
Yeah, I love ribs. I'm just saying, but for this time of year,
yeah.
let's stick to the turkey, the ham,
Yes.
maybe some chicken a little bit. You
Bust
know,
out some ribs. That's honestly hilarious.
I invented the lamb chops on Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. And they gave me trouble.
Okay. Oh, no way.
Yeah, I was like, thank y'all for my hard work sitting outside on the grill,
Mhm.
preparing some nice lamb chops for you guys.
Right.
And y'all sit up here, y'all get on to me.
Yeah.
So since they
Hmm.
got on to me, I return the favor.
Thanksgiving siren on barbecue ribs. I support that. Well, you kind of messed me up here because I did not mean to hate on Andy Burcham. I think very highly of him, but I'm hitting the siren on the cranberry sauce. What is wrong with you people? I find that stuff disgusting. I don't think it is. It's like a sweet jelly on all of the salty savor. Don't need it. Burn it. Get it out of here. Get it out of my sight. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Gross.
So you must have been part of that new generation.
Yes,
So
I am very young and hip, Jason. Thank you for
you're
noticing.
part of that new generation because the old generation, they just came for you. They just came for you. They just said, Taylor Davis,
Oh,
have
for
you
sure.
lost your mind not to
Yes.
have cranberry sauce
I know.
on the table for
I know.
Thanksgiving?
I know. I just
Are
offended
you
a
kidding
whole
me?
generation, but disgusting. I said what I said. All right, let's get into a couple storylines coming out of this week. I gotta start with kind of the one that has just had the country in a chokehold for weeks, and we are all so eager for it to just be announced so that we can stop freaking talking about it and hypothesizing about it. But another step in the Lane Kiffin development, Ole Miss athletic director put out a statement last week basically saying that a decision, it seems, has been made, but the announcement is to be publicized Saturday after the Egg Bowl. The Egg Bowl happens on Friday, and Lane Kiffin's decision as to where he will be coaching next year is set to be announced on Saturday. And while I'm sure some people hoped that that would quiet things, good and well, now we all just feel like it's time to throw all of our hypotheses at the wall because time is dwindling. So sets up for a very interesting and complex Egg Bowl because it is riddled with distractions completely circulating around the head coach. So, what was your initial take on the athletic director putting a statement out like this, and how did you interpret it? Because when it came out, I was in the car with my coworkers, and some of us read it and said, oh, that must mean he's staying. And some of us read it and said, oh, he's definitely leaving. I think there are so many schools of thought surrounding an announcement like this. So just your take on it and what you ultimately are led to believe he's going to do.
Yeah, I think it's like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Like a contract was put on his desk about 4 weeks ago. And the fact that he didn't sign it then, and he said he wanted to wait. If I'm all tied in, if I'm about to propose or get married, and I done bought the ring, at this point in time, I'm either doing it or I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So he has the paperwork sitting right in front of him, and he sees everything. He said he loves everything about Ole Miss and how it's helped him from a family perspective and individual, how he's feel like he's grown and everything. But there's a but.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Even with all those great things he just said, there is a but.
Yeah.
And the but to me is it's just not enough. Because the simple fact is, if you was gonna go ahead and continue there, you'd have signed it with no hesitation.
Yeah.
Something's missing that you don't agree with, or you want something more of, and you're feeling like in order to fulfill your job or fulfill your hiccup as a head coach in the college world, you need these one thing that Ole Miss can't give you. And that's what he feel like he wants in LSU and Florida. And that thing is a recent national championship. Right? When you think about when was the last time Ole Miss won a national championship, you have to go back a while, right?
Yeah.
When you think about Florida, you only go back to, right, 2009, somewhere around there. But you think Ole Miss, you had 4 10-win seasons out of 5. And this would be your first opportunity to make the playoffs if you were to beat Mississippi State on Friday. And you got everything going. You got a quarterback in shambles who I think can take you on a run. You know, your defense makes plays when they need it, but your offense is high-powered. You're the play caller. You're the head coach. And to me, if you make this decision the day after the Egg Bowl and it's not Ole Miss, you just, you know, those guys in that locker room, some of them still going to ride with you, but some of them going to really be hurt because now they got to enter into the playoffs. So you're not a full team going into the playoffs. And I think, honestly, it becomes a huge distraction this week that they may lose this game to Mississippi State.
Yeah, I agree.
Not going to be 100% on beating Mississippi State. It's going to be distracted about, is Lane going to be here the next 24 hours after this game? So to me, I think he's looking at LSU, and he brought up the Citadel thing as a shot back to Ole Miss. He took a slight shot at Ole Miss. He said, you guys did not show up in games unless it's a big one. But I go over here to LSU, I got 100,000 people at every ball game.
They're there always.
Everything. So,
which is true, but you're just trying to highlight reasons to validate what you know you're about to do. You do that in a breakup too. You're like, and while we're at it, you leave the cabinets open because you're trying to justify that you want out. And so I think that totally plays into that as well. And I agree. I think the statement being put out by an athletic director with a date associated with an announcement would not be necessary if the announcement was, I'm staying. My only thing, though, is that Lane doesn't do things the normal way. Lane loves a splash. Lane loves to be different and have hype associated with him. So if anyone was going to do all of this pomp and circumstance and then have some big reveal on Saturday that I'm staying, you know, kind of like these guys that announce like I'm coming back for a 6-year or whatever, it would be Lane Kiffin. So you can't rule out any of them, but I do think the likelihood has gotten smaller and smaller. I am leaning LSU. I think that the announcement is coming. And obviously we've all seen the reports of the amount of money that is being thrown at him from Baton Rouge, from roster money to his own money to allocations for a staff that he can put together. It is, I don't know. I need to get into the chicken tender business apparently, because what on God's green earth, how are we able to throw this? Because let's we not forget, we're paying $50 million to Brian Kelly in a buyout. So like, how is all of this money being thrown away in one time? It is baffling to me. So
the whole thing is too, you're tying Brian Kelly up in courts that he can't accept another job right now.
Yes.
So the Penn State job sits there open, and we've all heard Kalen DeBoer's name come up for that job. And is Kalen DeBoer happy in Tuscaloosa?
Right.
His family happy in Tuscaloosa. If Auburn some way find a way to win this game on Saturday, I think it's an easy choice because I think they're going to welcome him to go to Penn State. And I think he'll be trying to get to Penn State.
Yes. Yeah, I think it would be kind of a mutual decision if that happened. But as far as Lane Kiffin goes, I do anticipate that the players know. I'm really hard pressed to believe that they all would be still committed the way they are and still like very much involved. Trinidad Chambliss, has tweeted about the culture and everybody, the videos, all the guys are still, I don't think you have that if these guys are completely in the dark. I really am inclined to believe that they've been let in on what is going on. Otherwise, this could be a straight up war that would be happening in the locker room. Like, how do you play blind week to week to week? And I think that they would all feel very slighted to be in the same place as the general public, having to play ping pong with all of these hypotheticals. I think Lane Kiffin has been able to be transparent with them. I don't know that to be true, but that is my general assessment. And you got to think if he is leaving, he's got a handful of guys that he's anticipating bringing with him to Baton Rouge, a lot of his key players and guys with eligibility left. So there's that piece of it. Or if he's staying, these guys that are going, coach, if you're bailing, I got to know for my future. Do I need to be talking to these coaches that are reaching out to me? I am hard pressed to believe that Lane Kiffin is leaving his entire team in the dark with all of this. I just don't believe that.
I just think if he was going to stay, you had ample opportunities to say you're staying, right?
Yeah,
You
but
were
what fun
listening
is that for Lane
to
Kiffin?
I know, but you were
What fun is
listening.
that?
And I just feel like in this situation, it's hard to say this. Kids are no longer tied to universities. They're
Mm-hmm.
tied to individuals,
Mm-hmm.
right? So back in our era, you couldn't transfer to another school unless you set out a year.
Mm-hmm.
If you went down a level, you could, but also you couldn't transfer within the conference
Right.
unless you set out a year. Nowadays, these kids are tied to individuals. So there are some players on that team that's saying, well, shoot, if Lane boat, I'm just gonna boat with him.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But so it's no longer like, nah, man, I represent the red and the gray and all this for Ole Miss. I'm like, this is
Gray.
home. Like, you know, they don't think about that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it's a different era. Like,
Yeah.
you're recruiting individuals for another individual instead of saying, hey, I'm buying in. Like my guys, when we went through Auburn, we graduated from Auburn, we had a brotherhood. Like, we have love for Auburn.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
These kids don't stay in one place long enough to have love for something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're there more than 2 years, yeah, you start to develop that love. But then after you finish, now you have a long lasting love for that place. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you're transferring 1, 2, 3 times, you don't have no love allegiance. My allegiance is tied to individuals. Some allegiance is tied to money. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those different things that you shouldn't be tied to when you're making life decisions, because ultimately you should pray about it and God should be your leader of where you should go. Not everyone's move is move for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean because my coach go here, I gotta go. Like, no, that may be what's best for him, but that may not be what's best for you. And I think we need to start teaching our youth these things is stop making your decisions for everybody else and start making all for everybody else's decision and make your own decisions.
Of course. Yeah. And I think that for Lane, whether he's staying or going, he is currently thinking what that team is going to look like, whether it's at Ole Miss, at Florida, at LSU, at the freaking Dolphins. I don't even know. He is thinking about who's going to be a part of it, current players. And so I don't think that those guys don't know what's going on. But everybody will be notified come Saturday, and we will see where the Lane train is headed. What's also wild to me is that, like, so many people are genuinely convinced that they know what is happening. I was at my game this past weekend was Louisville SMU. Okay. I'm in Dallas, nowhere near Gainesville. Yeah. I walked past the end zone. There are 2 men in Florida Gators jerseys, and they are holding signs that say, missed our flight, but no worries. We'll catch the Lane train to Gainesville. And so I went and asked them, and I was like, okay, honestly, clever, for one. For two, do y'all really think that's what's happening? And they were like, oh, for sure. He's coming to Gainesville. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm sitting here feeling pretty dang convinced that he's going to Baton Rouge. There are people in Oxford that are like, he's not leaving. There are prominent media members that are saying he's not leaving. He's doing all of this as a splash. He's staying in Oxford. And then there are people, I tend to be with this clan, that really thinks Baton Rouge just offered him more than he can refuse. And so he's going to LSU. But it is baffling to me how many people feel so certain.
I think Florida can offer the same thing that LSU can offer, right? I think it just comes down to, you want to be in Florida or do you want to be in
Baton Rouge.
LSU? You know, from a finance standpoint, I don't think that bothered either one of those schools, right? It's just Lane wants to play poker.
Yeah.
Lane know there's betting odds on where he end up
where he's going. Yeah.
And to me, Florida is the one card that's being silent and has been in a fight longer than LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, LSU was getting all the smoke screen, the airplane showing up, the family being in Baton Rouge, looking at
his son had the headphones with LSU on them.
Headphones with LSU on them. All build up for smoke screen.
Look over here. Look over here. Yeah.
If he stays at Ole Miss, I'll be shocked, but I would totally understand it.
I do too. Like,
but if he went to Florida, I'd be like, nah, that's so lame, right there.
That is so lame.
Fact that he fooled everybody like he was going to LSU and went to Florida.
I mean, You don't need to watch reality TV. You just need to be a fan of the SEC. That's all it is. Like, this is ridiculous. But let's give some pretty quick Week 14 previews. Like I said, our Iron Bowl preview is in the other episode, our guest episode with AJ McCarron. So Auburn fans, make sure, and Alabama fans, make sure you go check that out. Obviously, a huge week last week with Deuce Knight making his debut, the freshman phenom out of Auburn. He was the first freshman in Auburn history to rush for 150 yards or more. He also had 4 touchdowns on the ground, and he did all of that in a half. So pretty exciting day for him. He accounted for over 400 yards of total offense against Mercer, 6 touchdowns, which tied with Cam Newton and Cadillac Williams of most in a game. So he's in pretty great company. We talked about that, as well as what's going to be happening in the Iron Bowl in the episode with AJ McCarron. But we're going to start with the Egg Bowl. Like I said, big one happening on Friday. Kind of weird, 11 a.m. Central Time on Friday, but a lot of excitement because of how many eyes are going to be on this game. And it is in Starkville, which obviously is not an easy place to play this season. While unfortunately they weren't able to be as tough against Georgia in their last home outing, they beat Arizona State there, who beat Texas Tech. So there's some spice to Starkville. And given everything that's transpiring about Lane Kiffin and around this Ole Miss program, Mississippi State would love to come sneaking on in while they're all distracted and pull off the upset. Now, unfortunately, Mississippi State's defense is going to have to play way better than they've been playing as of late, because Trinidad Chambliss and that Ole Miss tempo offense has really been able to put up some huge numbers. And conversely, Mississippi State has allowed at least 40 points in 3 of their last 4 games. The other one was 35 points. So they have really been allowing opponents to build the yardage, build the points, and they're going to have to be incredibly tough in this one. I would say specifically in the red zone. And that Lane Kiffin's going to get creative. If this is his last game coaching at Ole Miss, he's going to try and get his, his best, his glitziest, his go out with a splash. That's very him. And also highlight a lot of his, athletes who potentially will be entering the transfer portal depending on what he's doing. So Mississippi State's defense is going to have to play the toughest that they have played. And I would also say their offensive line is going to have to take a step forward, because when they have provided Blake Shapen time, that offense has been efficient. He can hit Brennan Thompson, who is one of the fastest guys in college football, if he is provided time. But pass protection has been a huge thorn in the side of Mississippi State. And when Blake Shapen is under pressure and having to scramble for his life, we know he's still not completely healthy. My guy has battled through so many injuries and is still banged up right now. Without some pass protection to get the ball to guys like Brennan Thompson and let the speed be your weapon, you are fighting a true uphill battle. They do have Fluff Bothwell. Luckily, he was only out for about a month when he suffered that injury, so the run game can be efficient. But I think you're going to have to get it to some of those spark players like Brennan Thompson, and the only way you're doing that is with better pass protection. Oh, and our friends at FanDuel have Ole Miss favored 6.5. Thank you so much, FanDuel, for making the show happen. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, when I think about this ball game, it is a game that it's kind of hard to pick, honestly, because if you look at Mississippi State, they should have beat Tennessee at home. They should have beat Texas at home. They beat a good Arizona State team at home.
Mm-hmm.
The only team that really blew them out at home was Georgia.
Yeah.
And Georgia's hitting on all cylinders. And Georgia could do what? They could run the football really, really well. Totally. And Ole Miss, as much as they run the football, they love to put the ball in the air. And Shamlin is a big part of both of those aspects of the game. So I expect Mississippi State to play ball control. I expect them to try to run the ball a little bit. I expect them to slow it down. They're a no-huddle team too. But I think they're probably going to try to milk as much clock as they can off the clock before they snap the ball, just because they want to and now if they get a lead, they're gonna go with their offense. But if it's close, they're gonna try to slow it down, because Lane Kiffin does go so fast that the defense got to have time to get rest, and that's what Mississippi State don't have, is depth on defense. They're not a deep team on defense, so you have to play to your strength that's your offense if you're Mississippi State.
I agree. I like it. That one will be very compelling across the board, as will Texas A&M versus Texas. True last potential shot for Texas. Texas A&M has remained, at the top of the pack in the SEC, but maybe has shown a little bit of weakness in the past. They narrowly defeated South Carolina, but does that say more about South Carolina letting it go, or did Texas A&M get the gut check that really sets them up well for postseason? What do you have in this one?
I like Marcel Reed. I like Texas A&M. I just think that they do have a weakness. They do.
Okay.
And South Carolina kind of exposed that a little bit. They just didn't have the will to win the game in the second half.
Yeah.
Right? Even in the Auburn game, it was 16-10. We had no offense in that ball game. If we had any offense, we could have won in that game.
Yeah.
So they're tickering for one loss in this regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be a bad thing for them if they lost this game, because it may wake them up a little bit more, because anytime that you're just getting by winning some games, you're on the road to defeat.
Yes.
And this situation, to going to Texas on the road, Texas know if they want any shot of making the playoffs, they have got to win this ball game.
Yeah.
So it's more for Texas to play extremely hard to win this game, to stay in the opportunity to get the playoffs. A&M knows they're probably in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
Right. So they know as to whether they're going to play Georgia or whether they're going to play Bama. So I think Texas A&M is 2.5 point favorite over on the 51.5. But I'm going to have to lean towards the Horns.
Really?
Texas. Isn't that how you say Texas? Texas.
Yeah, you're doing good. Yep.
Yeah. So that's Texas is going to have to, I think, win this ball game at home.
Okay. Wow. I like it. Yeah. And I think it being in Austin really plays into that, because that environment can get pretty dicey. And I do think that Texas has played better in the past couple of weeks, and maybe A&M has taken steps backwards. Like, this timing may not benefit the Aggies as much. But I'm still such a believer in Mike Elko and Texas A&M. So I think I'm still going to lean A&M, but this one is going to be an incredibly tough fight and a really good test, I think, for A&M either way, either result. And I mean, not taking away, but they are still in a really good position for the playoff. I'm not saying that takes away any of the importance by any means. You're talking about seeding. You also don't want to let any of the potential of your future be in someone else's hands. Like, you want to continue to be in the driver's seat. But that element, does that make them feel a little more comfortable knowing, okay, worst case scenario, like, how does the mental gymnastics come into play when you know that your goals are still going to be intact? But this rivalry runs deep, and you know the Aggies want to close the season with the dub. Last, we've got Vanderbilt at Tennessee, the battle for the state, because in the preseason, Diego Pavia was on Bussin' with the Boys saying it's about time that Vanderbilt become the state school. And this one is going to be a test of that. But FanDuel says not so fast, Commodores. They've got Tennessee favored in this one by 2.5. As of right now, Tennessee sits at the number 20 team in the nation, Vanderbilt at 14. Obviously, the rankings will come out tonight. We are recording on Tuesday, so we'll see where they sit. Vanderbilt, obviously, with a very dominant performance this past week against Kentucky, led by Diego Pavia, putting up 522 total yards, 6 total touchdowns, and like I said, a 45-10 win. But Joey Aguilar had 204 yards, 1 touchdown. The Balls as a unit, 248 rushing yards. The ground attack was really clicking. 3 touchdowns for them in the 31-11 win over Florida, finally getting the win in the Swamp for the first time since 2003. Vanderbilt will have a 33% chance of a playoff bid with a win here. If they lose, they are out. So obviously a lot on the line for Vandy in this one, but Knoxville is rowdy. And let me tell you, Knoxville doesn't like that Vanderbilt is no longer little brother. They don't like that sentiment. They don't like that Vanderbilt is being taken seriously. And they feel like if they continue to win in this series, and if they protect their home field specifically against Vanderbilt, that they still keep that pride element and keep Vanderbilt in the category that they believe they should be. However, I'm still a believer in Vanderbilt, y'all. I can't believe how this all transpired, but I think that the firepower, and I do think the best teams this season have been the ones that can find a way to win, the ones that can gut it out. It's not just the ones that are blowing out every competitor. Sorry, but like, Notre Dame, you beat Syracuse 70-7. I'm not as impressed by that. I'm really not. But Georgia going into overtime early in season when you really don't know who you are yet, but you get gut checked in a place like Knoxville and you find a way to pull out a win. I'm more impressed by things like that. A very hyped up, brand new offense, Auburn team goes into Nashville, takes Vanderbilt down to the wire, testing them in ways that they could not have prepared for on film. Literally, there was none of this on film to prepare them. And they gut it out and they find a way to win. Vanderbilt has been gut checked. They have put flair on tape. They have showcased the defense when Pavia's had a bad game and vice versa. I believe in Vanderbilt, and I think they pull this one off. And I would love if we're different on this because it makes it fun.
Taylor, it is Bama week for Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed that you have red nails. And we're going to have to get those changed before the week is over.
What, do you want them blue?
Before Saturday, something neutral. Just anything.
I'll work on that.
Red. Just something neutral. That's something neutral. Quarterback sees things,
It's true. You're very perceptive.
Taylor also defending herself and protecting herself in a way because she lives in Nashville, people.
I do. And I go to church with a lot of these kids that play at Vandy.
So. Have to eat. I don't know if she's on Beale Street or not.
I don't live in Memphis, Jason. So no, not on Beale Street.
Not Memphis. Not Memphis. Broadway, my bad.
There you go. Broadway. I'm not there either. Trust me.
But I agree with Taylor. I am going with the Commodores, and they have a little bit more to play for. They are tired of being big little brother, and they better achieve it while Diego Pavia has one more game there.
100%.
We will see what happens with Vanderbilt afterwards.
Yes.
But Vanderbilt has been tested. They played great on the road in Alabama. They had a shot to win the game. It wasn't for 2 turnovers.
Yep.
They go to Texas. They start off slow. They fight back, lose 34-31. So they've been battle tested. Playing on the road does not scare these guys. It does not affect them. Actually, it seems like they come closer together.
Yeah.
So I would say Vanderbilt as well in this ball game.
Okay.
And they make the playoffs.
Look at that. I mean, it's true go time for so many of these teams that feel like they're kind of right there on the bubble. So it's either going to be a loss at the hands of your rival that keeps you out of the postseason, or a win over your most hated rival to see your postseason dreams become a reality. So super, super excited for the slate ahead across a lot of conferences, but especially in the SEC. So that is going to do it for us this week on SEC State of Mind. As always, you can catch us wherever you get your podcasts. That is the podcast app, Spotify, iHeart, Believe's website, you name it. And then as always, we are in video format on Believe's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment, thumbs up, what have you. Share the episodes with your friends so we continue to grow the show in partnership with FanDuel. And we will be back next week to break down all the rivalry week action, as well as preview conference championships and probably talk about some coaching news, because Saturday should be announcement, perhaps Sunday announcement for some others after the regular season concludes. We shall see, but you're going to want to come back. Trust me on that. So we'll be back next Tuesday for another episode. And until then, everyone have a very happy Thanksgiving and enjoy Rivalry Week.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.